about Built to Last, a weekly entrepreneurship and business mastery class where we invite seasoned professionals to share with us what it takes to build a very successful small business. And I'm happy again today we're going to have a very interesting topic because over the years, many people have thought about leaving their corporate jobs, secured job, predictable salary every month. Worst case, by 25th, 26th, or the 27th of the month, you have your salary. But that people are daring to leave this more like in quote their comfort zone and to go into their own business, which looks more riskier. Because if you start your own business, there's no guarantee of your monthly income. If you start your own business, there's no guarantee that you're going to succeed. But maybe many people want to do that. What do you do? What are the factors you need to consider? And is there anybody who has done it before and they're doing well in it and they want to share their experience with us? And that is what we are talking about tonight. And tonight, again, there's none other who wants to share this experience with us than Mr. Albert Opoku. Albert is a seasoned entrepreneur. If you're looking for somebody who has tried and who has actually done it by transitioning from corporate work to running his own business, this is the guy to talk to. Albert used to work with the British Council, and I'm sure all of you who work in British Council, you may probably be working with a very good institution, globally recognized. You should be good with it. But this man said one day, enough is enough. Not that it was a bad job, but he found his passion and wanted to pursue it. And today he has a company called Hyperspace, one of the most successful entrepreneurial hubs in Ghana right now, working with SNV Green, working with GIZ, working with the MasterCard, and working with many, many international development agencies in trying to help people transition into their own businesses. When it comes to tech, when it comes to issues about technology application to businesses, Hyperspace, led by Mr. Albert Opoku, is the place to go. Good evening and welcome tonight. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much
Thank
for
you.
joining us tonight.
Alfred, it's an honor actually. I think I've been part of this movement when you started, although sometimes it's unable to make it, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have benefited a lot from it. So it's a privilege to be on the other side this time around, not answering the questions, but going to answer the questions. I want to say that I'm going to share my experience, as you said, to give you a quick background. Indeed, I work with the British Council. When I completed my university at University of Ghana, I joined as a national service personnel, and I was really good. I don't lie about that.
Hmm.
Before I could finish my national service, they offered me a job, a full-time job, and they actually gave me two levels above what you usually would give a national service person. To get you to understand how good I was, within 3 years, I joined the British Council Kumasi office, and I was the youngest in age and experience. And within 3 years, I was their manager.
Wow.
So that was how swift I went. And within 4 years, the next fourth year, I'd moved from the Ghana office and I was in the Africa office as digital services manager. And I didn't really learn computer science. I'm an accountant by
I never
by
knew
hope.
this. Wow.
Yeah. No,
Wow, I never knew this.
so my first degree is accounting, actually. Yes. So
Wow.
I'm an accounting student. I'm a self-taught programmer, and
Hmm.
I used to sneak into computer science classes whilst I was in Legon of course, it was free education.
Hmm.
Nobody would check whether I was a student or not.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is that my parents really were entrepreneurs, and growing up, I lived in a house where everybody was an entrepreneur. So for me, I was very clear in my mind that when I finished school, I was going to run a business. It wasn't something that was strange for me. But transitioning from being somebody who worked at the British Council to becoming an entrepreneur was a whole different experience. And I think that is what I want to share with people today. That if you are working for someone, if you're an employee now and you're considering it, I say welcome. It's a place I have been, and I have seen many people also try to make the transition. So I will share my slides and then we will get into the discussion.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, as the discussion goes on, you may want to drop your questions in the chat box, and probably toward the tail end of the discussion, you can raise your hand and ask any questions at all. And as I told you, if you are looking for anybody who can advise you as far as this transition is concerned, Albert is the guy to talk to. So tonight he's going to share with us. So kindly be very generous, share the link with other people, let them join us. Let us see what we can all learn together tonight for us to make the right transition into our own businesses. Albert, take over. Thank you.
So first of all, I was really impressed with the topic, the way you gave the title, like passion is not a business plan, and I was
Kudos
thinking,
to my team, to my lovely. I have a guy here called Lovelace. He's a lovely guy, but his name is Lovelace as well. So
oh,
kudos,
okay.
my team here. Thank you very much for doing that.
Yes, I was thinking whether that should have been the title of my book, rather.
That would have been interesting, no?
Yes, 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 yes. So if you're here and you're thinking about starting or quitting into start your own business, I'll say welcome. You're at the right place. Now, you can't start a business which you're not passionate about. Okay. So we usually hear things like follow your passion. But passion for me, is a spark. It is not a fuel. Because passion is it's a feeling and business is a system. Although you need passion, the truth is that it is not around what will make your business successful. Passion won't pay your bills and it won't manage your cash flow. Neither would it build your team. So for the last 13 years that I've been an employee, switched to become an employer, I have seen so many people who were passionate about what they wanted to do, but they failed because they didn't have a good plan. And all they relied on was passion. Many people dream, and the dream is free. And it's easy to dream to become an entrepreneur. But to let me tell you the truth. Trust me, it's a lot of planning, a lot of learning, and a lot of hard work before you can make that change. So, yes, if you are thinking of quitting and starting your own business, just know that I once stood there. I was a very dedicated employee, as I've just told you, but I also dreamt of going beyond the workplace. So, what's the solution? I'm going to share with you some practical and sometimes some boring steps you need to build before you can do that bridge that takes you from employee to employer. And these are 5 key things I'll share with you. I call them my reality checkpoints. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is to be convinced that you have entrepreneurship in your veins. And it is having a certain kind of mindset. In all my years of being with Hyperspace and dealing with different kind of entrepreneurs, I realized that they all have a certain kind of mindset. And one of them was self-belief. You have to believe that you want to make things successful. Two, you have to embrace risk. Entrepreneurship involves risk. You see, when you're an employee, you are paid not to make mistakes. You are paid not to take risk. An employee, it's not expected to take risk. You have to follow routines and processes. You have to follow systems. But an entrepreneur has to take risk. And you have to be sure about it for yourself that you are willing to take risk to the extent that you're ready to lose everything. So you need to be sure that entrepreneurship it's in your vein. And you need to ask yourselves, do you have what it takes to take risk? Do you have the discipline to save and build the necessary capital so that you can invest it in your entrepreneurship venture? Can you handle losing everything and having to start all over again? Now, it's important to know that the more responsibilities you have in life, the more difficult this third thing is. Because when you are taking risk, it might not be just because of yourself. So, for example, if you're married and you have children, you have elderly parents, it's difficult to take risk and become an employer and leave your job because you have a lot of people who are dependent on you. So maybe the less responsibility you have, the more easier it is for you to take risk. But also doesn't mean that you can't take the risk of leaving employment and becoming self-employed if you follow the right plan. So if you can do most of these 3 things, if you're ready to take risk, if you're ready to start, even if you lose everything, and you have the discipline to save and build the necessary capital, most likely you have entrepreneurship in your vein. On my website, I have a tool that is called the self-assessment tool, which you can use to assess yourself and see whether you have entrepreneurship in your vein. And it will give you a score. And it's just a guide. Please know that it's not a definite thing you should take as a final answer to whether you are an entrepreneur or not. But it's just a guide that helps you to self-assess yourself to find out whether you are destined for this entrepreneurship journey. So indeed, it's not something that people are born with, that you can say, oh, I was born an entrepreneur. But it's traits that some people have, and you can learn it as well if you put in the necessary effort. For me personally, I have lost my capital not less than 3 times. There were times in my life that I had to live on Gary for weeks. And my wife had to support me. She had to understand. I had to walk because I couldn't even afford trotro at some point in time. But for me, I never had a doubt that I would persevere and succeed. And you need to have that in your veins if you're going to become an entrepreneur. Now, I want you to know this. Self-employment or entrepreneurship is not for everyone. And that's perfectly fine. It is not a crime to prefer to be an employee. In fact, there are many satisfied and wealthy employees. So if you recognize that entrepreneurship is not your cup of tea, I will say that do not let the ongoing hype about entrepreneurship make you feel unworthy or not accomplished. You see, especially in a country where government struggles to employ people and provide employment opportunities, it is pushing entrepreneurship as a way for people to be employed. I understand it. I get it. But entrepreneurship is not for everyone. So if it's not for you, please don't feel bad. Don't feel that you have to become an entrepreneur. As I said, there are many people who are employees who are satisfied. And so a lot of employees I've known who are wealthy. So if it's not for you, it's not your cup of tea, please don't feel bad about it. But if it is for you or you feel that's for you, let's go through a few things. So the 5 things you should look at. Number 2, prepare while you're employed. And for many people, I'll say that you need to view the place you work as a business school and not a place where you just earn a wage or a salary. Take it like this. See that your employer is paying you to learn how to build your business. Because you are in a situation or you find yourself in a place where you're learning everything about business. If you want to run your own business one day, take the opportunity you have now at where you are to learn everything. So learn about systems, learn about customer service, learn about accounting, learn about HR, learn about sales, learn bookkeeping, learn record, learn all the things. Be close to different people in different departments. Just don't stick at your own department. See it as a business school. See it as this is where you are learning. See it as you are being paid to learn. I remember when I was at the British Council, I was in Kumasi, and the British Council Accra used to organize a lot of events. I would take my own transportation and go to Accra. I will attend those events, I attend those trainings. I always volunteer for trainings. Surprisingly, people know I volunteer for trainings and things like that. I always volunteer because for me, I saw it as a business school. I saw it as a place I was learning everything I could from business. And British Council was huge. It's in 110 countries. The resources were available. So please, wherever you are now, I will say just don't see it as a place where you earn a salary, but see it as a place where you are learning every necessary skill for you to build your own business. Because if you take any MBA syllabus, it's information you are learning to come and apply it into business. So you are finding yourself in that business. So you learn things like cash flow, you learn things like managing people, you learn how to build systems, you learn customer service, you learn all of these things while you're an employee. Take advantage of it. You are being paid to go for an MBA. Now, let's say you've done this learning, you have things in place. What's the next thing you have to do? There are 2 types of capital you need. The first one is the human capital. And like anything, you need to get an education. Read books. And fortunately now, with the internet, there are several books you can read. I personally make it a habit of reading just 3 pages a day. You'll be surprised what 3 pages a day can do for you. So for me, I decided I stopped taking my phone to the loo. So I don't take my phone to the loo anymore. What I do rather when I wake up in the morning, I go to the loo is to take a book with me. And then whilst I'm doing my business, I basically read 3 pages. That's all I do. I don't read more than that. 3 pages, I'm fine. And then I get up. You'll be surprised how much you can read by just reading 3 pages. So if you feel you're someone who finds it difficult to read, maybe you can adapt that strategy. Maybe start with 2 pages or 1 page, but don't push yourself to read half a book or half a whole lot of pages because you will never find the time to read in this busy lifestyle where we have now. Take online courses. There are a lot of courses now that are designed to be very short. So you can take a course that lasts for just 30 minutes and you can watch just 5 minutes of it. So it could be a sales course, it could be a system course, it could be a bookkeeping course, it could be on customer service. Take opportunities to learn these things. There are many incubators and accelerators and hubs, even here in Kumasi and Accra. I think in Ghana right now, there are about 50 hubs. Hyperspace is just one of the hubs in Kumasi. There are many, many hubs around. Go for their programs. If you can participate in the acceleration programs, these things will provide you with the education you need. Attend webinars just like you are now. And as you know, Dr. TK has been doing this every single Thursday and he's been consistent. I've been amazed about how consistent he's been. He's not missed a Thursday since he started. So attend these kind of things, use it to learn. Remember that entrepreneurship is a career, just like being a lawyer is a career, a medical person is a career, an accountant is a career, an architect is a career. All of those careers needed them to learn for years. You can't become a lawyer by just waking up and decide I want to be a lawyer or become a medical person like that. Somebody goes to medical school 8 years. Architects do 8 years. Some courses you have to go and do an MBA. So if all these careers need an educational path, don't you think that becoming an entrepreneur also needs an education path? It does. And for you, 2 places you can study, learn on the job, and use all these things to also learn. Prepare yourself because it is your lifetime career that you're embarking on. So you need an education to be employed in it, as I said. The next thing you need to build, as I said, apart from the human capital, it's the financial capital. A lot of time, this is what people are concerned about, and I understand it because passion is not cash flow. Passion is a feeling. But if you're going to run a business, trust me, you need more than passion. Passion runs on excitement, but a business runs on cash. You must build a financial runway before you leap. And we'll talk a bit more about what this runway is. For me, I realized that the kind of capital you need requires frugality. You see, in Ghana, capital, it's hard to come by. In other places, capital is really easy to come by. Here, it's not easy. And the best kind of capital you can have if you're employed, it's your salary. So you need to learn how to be frugal. You need to learn how to manage a budget and live by that budget because you need to be able to build good capital. I'll tell you, save aggressively for at least 2 years of your salary and be willing to make sacrifices. So what do I mean? Like in my experience, I realized that when you stop your business, you stop being an employee, sorry, and you start running your business, those first 2 or 3 years is going to be really rough. Maybe your business will not be going as you expect. You might not be getting enough cash flow as you expect. Look, the things will not be as you expect. But if you have saved enough, two things that helps you with this is one, you have some buffer and you can use that to pay yourself for the next 2 years. Two, it means that you don't dip your hands into the business. and take the money that the business has. You don't need to rely on the sales of the business. You can reinvest the sales of the business and give the business enough time to grow. Take it this way. Imagine that you have planted cocoyam, kuntumre, in the backyard. And anytime that there's 2 or 3 leaves of the contumely, no what you take it off and you do contumely stew. Do you think that the cocoyam will ever develop underneath it? No, because the cocoyam needs its leaves to be able to develop cocoyam. But as soon as there's leaves, you take it to do contumely. As soon as there's leaves, you never get cocoyam. It's the same with your business. If you don't have money to take care of yourself and your family, you're going to struggle with a business and not give it enough time for it to grow well. So this is what I did. Before I left the British Council, 2 years before I left, I learned to live on half of my salary. Trust me, it wasn't easy to live on half of my salary. So every month, I put half in treasury bills and I live on half. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, within 3 years, I was already the British Council manager, but I couldn't afford a car. I was still driving around I go to work on taxi, although I was the manager. It meant that a lot of people felt like, manager partner, they be a Ukrainian car. Yeah, this I had to take trotro, but I knew what I was doing. I was saving half. I knew I couldn't go beyond half of my salary. It meant that I couldn't eat certain kind of foods. It meant that I could only, and I learned the secret of good shirts. So I didn't have colored shirts. I only had 3 white shirts and a lot of ties because when you wear white shirts, nobody knows that it's the same thing you wore yesterday. So you can wear white shirt, white shirt, white shirt. But all you do is you change the tie. The tie, the 10 cities, 50 cities, you get good ties. So all I do was change my tie and still wear white shirt. But basically, I was saving for 2 years. I was saving 50% of everything I earned. And therefore, when I started my business, I knew I had 2 years worth of salary, and that gave the business enough time. But the truth is that after 2 years, the money got finished and the business still hadn't picked up. It took 5 years before the business actually picked up. And I'll not lie to you, those 3 years after my money had finished and before my business could start paying me were the most difficult times of my life. Those 3 years was hard. For those of you who know Kumasi a bit, where my office was at that time was at a place called Fort Junction at Asokwa, and I live at a Greek. For those of you in Accra, just to give you an idea, a rough idea would be say that you live around Legon and you go to work around, say, National Theatre. And because I couldn't afford trotro, I will walk halfway before I take trotro because that's all I could afford in those 3 years until the business was able to start paying me. And after 5 years, when the business started paying me salary, it was half what I used to receive at British Council 5 years ago. So you can see how hard it was for me in transitioning. So truthfully, if I should go backwards, I will say that I should have maybe taken a bit more time before I transition. And I'll talk about that transition when we get there very soon. So please build your financial capital. Some we yes say and certain. So maybe some of you might not have been in a situation I had. For me, I had no boa for, so I had to put the money together myself. And maybe in your case, you might have family and friends who are much more on the financial stable side, and if they can help you, that's great. But whatever the case, please prepare financially. Know that the first 2, 3 years of your business is going to be hard. And if you have some savings, it will help you continue to exist, if I should put it that way, and you not have to stress your business. Another thing you can do to get money is to do side hustles. And I found this to be very useful. So for me, for example, I learned how to build websites. Now, if you're going to do some side hustles, I'll give you 2 advice. Be careful not to compete with your employer. It is unethical that you are stealing your employers and customers. So if you are, give you for example, I know this guy who was working at a photocopy place, and then he'll buy his own A4 sheets, and when his boss is not around, when people come to do photocopy, then he takes his own for A4 sheets, and that's what he used to do photocopy for people, and then he pockets the money. You can't use somebody's business to build your own business. Please be careful not to compete with your employer. You can complement, but don't compete. It's very, very unethical to do that. Never use your employer's time to work on your own personal business. You are being paid for that time. You've exchanged, you've agreed that you give your employer that time in exchange for a salary or for a wage. It is totally unethical for you to use your employer's time on your side hustle. Remember that one day you yourself will become an employer. You employ people, and ask yourself, would you be happy if you come and your employees are using the time that you are paying them for to run their own personal things? Definitely not be happy. The world goes around. What you do today might come and bite you tomorrow. So please, if you're going to do a side hustle, which I really encourage you to do, please don't compete with your employer. And remember, don't steal your employer's time to do your self hustle. So weekends are yours, evenings are yours. Use it for your own self side hustle. So for me, I'll say that start your passion as a side hustle first. Don't quit your job to go and start a business. It gives you an opportunity to know whether this thing will work or will not work. So start it on the side. In fact, it might not even be a bad idea that you employ somebody to work on your side hustle and pay them a bit out of your salary whilst you are accumulating something for yourself before you quit. Okay. Because what you really want to do is that you want to be able to get to a point where by the time you even come into the business, it can afford to pay you something. Human capital, we'll talk about financial capital. Let's go to the next key thing, human capital. Here, I'm talking about relationships. You need to build strong relationships. Now, you will need a support network. Look, you can't do it alone. You will need a support system for your own mental health and for your business to go. Running a business is hard. It's harder than you. And I know people here, some of you run business. Look, it's not easy. There are days you will regret it. There are days you don't know why you got yourself in this. Especially when GRA start chasing you, SNIT is chasing you, your employees are giving you a headache. Your employees' problems are your own problems. You yourself, you are not seeing top. You need a support system. Something like what we are having today is a support system. We have one of our colleagues, Dr. Tineji, who runs something called Soul Clinic, where we just meet and just express our frustrations and talk. And then you get support from other people who are going through the same frustration. Please join a support system. You will need it. Okay. Then you also need to build network. You've heard a thing called your network is your net worth. We all go for events, we take people's cards, we take phone numbers. Please don't build a museum of phone cards and phone numbers and emails. So just don't take it and dump them. Build relationships. It means that it requires effort. Find out how people are, attend their events, congratulate them, build relationships with these people. Build relationships with your employers' clients so that one day they might also become clients of yours. Because remember that you don't want to build something that competes with your employer, but if it complements them, who knows? Your employer's clients can also be your clients. Okay. So the best time to build a good network, which is your human capital, is now. Find mentors, join entrepreneurship networks like what we have here. Built to Last is a very good network you can add. In Kumasi, there are many other ones like Kumasi Connect that is run by Ghana, I think, Atu and his team. Hyperspace has a number of networks that you can also join. Please do. And give a serious consideration to having a co-founder. You see, for me, my two co-founders were so helpful that I think that during those 3 years, if it wasn't that I had two co-founders, I might have quit. But let me sound a word of caution. Having the right co-founder is key. It is better to go solo than have the wrong co-founder. If you have the wrong co-founder, it is one of the worst you can ever do. So don't rush and get a co-founder. Don't take people just because they are putting money into your business as co-founders. No. In fact, it will be better to go solo. I repeat, better to go solo than get a wrong co-founder. Get the right co-founder. It's key and very important. It is ultimately vital. So a good number from your network have the potential also of becoming your client. As I said, not only are your employers' clients could be your clients, but if you build a good network now, if you take, for example, Build to Last has at least 2 WhatsApp groups which are full. So this is more than 500 people in Dr. TK's network alone. And if you're looking at a way, if you build a relationship here, if you network here, you're already looking at already having about 500 people who could potentially become your client. So the more networks you can be in, the better. So please note this. Let's be very honest with you. Starting a business is hard, and it's even hard in Africa. In Africa, you have to grapple with high cost of capital, regulatory barriers, poor infrastructure, and limited access to markets. But it doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to be successful. And therefore, as someone who has been accustomed to receiving a monthly salary, the uncertainty of an entrepreneur's income can be one of the most difficult realities to confront, because in your first few years, you can't really say I have a salary of X or Z. Sometimes you have, sometimes you don't. Okay. So that is another reason why you want to save half of your salary for at least 2 years prior to you moving from being an employee to becoming an employer. So now let's put it. You've done the analysis, realize that yes, entrepreneurship is in your veins. You are willing to take risk. You know that even if you fail, you can get up. You are preparing for yourself. You're using your place of work as your MBA school and learning everything you can learn about business whilst you're working. You are learning, taking online courses because, as I said, entrepreneurship is your careers and education. You are reading books, you are preparing yourself, you are saving some 50% of your income, you are doing some side hustles to build your capital. And most likely the side hustle and the business seems that now everything points to the fact that this will work. So now it's time to quit, it's time to leave. I call it quitting and not quit. You see, quit is an event, quitting is a process. Let me explain. When you quit, it's just like, hey, I've stopped. No, that's not what you should be doing. You should see that from leaving employment to becoming full-time in your own business, it is a runway. When you go to the airport, a plane doesn't just boom, goes upwards. It runs on the runway, gathers enough momentum before it goes and lifts up. And that's how your quitting should be. It's a process. It's not an event. So this is my suggestion. Your first 2 years, save aggressively and build a side hustle while you are still employed. Okay. Learn everything you can learn about business, as we've talked about systems, customer service, bookkeeping, all those things, VAT, VAT, ask questions. Learn all those things 1 to 2 years. Use that to learn. Remember, somebody's going to medical school spends 8 years. Lawyers spend, I think, 6 years. Architects spends 8 years. So if I'm asking you to learn for 2 years, you have not even gotten a degree yet. It's diploma at this level. Okay. Use year 3 to move into part-time. And that's what I did at British Council. So before I left, I arranged and I was able to talk with my boss to allow me to work part-time. So for 1 year, I was working 3 days at British Council, 2 days at Hyperspace, Hyperweb, and they gave me half salary. So I was able to get that kind of arrangement. However, if I should go back, I think I should have done maybe that for 2 years instead of 1 year, so that I could have been able to save more before I left. So if you can do 3 to 4 years where you're working part-time, because now your side hustle has proven that it's a viable business, then that isn't bad, you know. And then year 4 is where you then make the leap and say, okay, I'm going. Because by this time you have enough savings. By this time you've validated your idea. You know that it works. People are paying you money. The business is earning some revenue and you have savings for yourself. So that's why I say that it's quitting, ing, and not just quit. Okay. So it's a transition. Quitting itself is a process. So Whilst passion love grand gestures, like you can storm out and say, "Majai Jumano, I've quit." No, a business plan is strategic and gradual. Even if your boss is stating you know you have a plan and you are gradually leaving. So the reality check is that you just don't jump, you should transition. As I said, if you can move part-time at your job, use the extra days to build your own side hustles until it can replace your salary. So if you quit or quitting, these are the key points. Don't rush to quit your day job. It's your current source of income and sustenance. Start the business while you are still employed. Even if it means that you have to start small or hire someone to handle the day-to-day operations, it is better. This, if anything at all, is the most important thing I leave with you before we end. The week before you decide that I have done everything, and this week is the day that I am handing my resignation, this is what you should do. Get a card. I'm not saying a paper, a card. Okay, you can get a paper if you want to, but get a paper or a card and write down 5 reasons why you want to quit this job. Write it. 5. Please do it. You should have at least 5. Write it and then laminate it. Just give me a minute. Let me show you something.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, as we're waiting for Albert, I think I'm enjoying myself just as you are. So you can still be dropping your questions in the chat box. I've seen some of you doing that. Please continuously drop your questions in there. Albert will be very willing to help you out with it. Albert, I wish some of these things I knew them way before. I would have been a better person by now. But I'm grateful you are sharing them. I'm so grateful, bro. Thank you. All right, so please you may take over now.
So in my wallet, I carry cards, right? They're the size of, okay, I was just looking for I can't find my wallet. They're the size of your bank card, ATM card. Good. So it's the size of an ATM card where I've written the 5 reasons why I was leaving British Council. I still have mine. I printed it and made copies of it and I laminated them. And I'm asking you to do that because trust me, after a year, 2 years, 3 years of you leaving the job and the hard truth of entrepreneurship happens, what you forget all the reasons why you wanted to leave that employment. All you remember, trust me, is your salary. You remember that you used to get good salary, especially when it's 25th, 26th, 27th payday. You remember it and you forget all the reasons why you wanted to leave. This card is what will keep you going. You pull it out from your wallet or your purse and you read it. Carry it with you everywhere you go. It's a constant reminder of why you left. Because when the going gets hard, all you remember about your job, it's not the frustration. It's not about how your boss used to talk to you. It's not about the people you didn't like. All you remember is that you used to be paid. And if you were there, you would have earned money now. Remember the Israelites? When they were on the desert, they forgot that they were slaves and they were being beaten. All you remember was that they were eating meat and garlic. So you need it. Please make that card, laminate it, keep it with you, carry it with you, read it to remind yourself why you quit. So there you are. In summary, these are my 5 key points about passion is not a business plan and how to move between or from being an employee to an employer. First, be sure. Ensure that entrepreneurship truly aligns with your vision and values. Be sure that entrepreneurship is in your veins. Be ready to take risk. Be ready to lose everything and get up again. 2, learn the basics. Remember that entrepreneurship is a career. Like any career, you need to learn. Use your workplace to learn. It is the best MBA you can attain. Learn other ways, seminars, webinars, books, hubs, online courses. Learn the fundamentals of business. They are boring, but they are necessary. Bookkeeping is necessary, it's boring. Learning about sales is necessary, but it's boring. Learning about systems, learning about managing people, all of these things are boring things. But please, you need to learn these if you're going to become an entrepreneur. 3, gain your MBA. Use your business, use your current job, as I said, as where you learn. 4, build capital. Try to save for at least 2 years. Get a side hustle. Use that to build your capital. That's for financial capital. Build your human capital as well. Build a good network. You will need that for both your own mental health, for supporting you, and of course, they can also be your client as well. And if you can get a good co-founder, get one. But as I said, it is better to go solo than get a co-founder that does not help you. And finally, you quit gradually. Quitting is a transition, it's a process. Quit is an event. And if you're able to do that, I'll see you on the other side. All of the things I've talked about and more, you can find it in my book, where I go in depth in all these 5 processes called Before You Quit Your Job and Become an Entrepreneur. And I share a lot more about my own personal experience. But it's around these 5 principles that we've discussed. And it's available on my website, albertopoku.com. Dr. TK, thank you for having me today.
Albert, I can't say enough. This is really touching. I mean, let me tell you a couple of things that really has touched me now. The one that you said about when you go to the loo, you read a book there. I started it, and trust me, I seem to be reading like 2 books every month now. It works. It works. And I
It
keep saying it,
works.
my friend.
Yes.
It works. It works. It works. If you want to start reading a full book in 2 days, forget it because we are not used to it. Start small. You will get there one day. The next one you said is about the learning. And I think for me, books have made me. And I thank Dr. Tina J so much. There were books I was looking for that I couldn't find. One time I got close to him and he gets me almost every book that I need. My dear friend, if you want to be in this space called entrepreneurship, you must do it yourself. If it has to be, it is up to you. And Albert has said it all. This is not somebody who has read from some book or some AI or somewhere that he's telling you. He was working in a very lucrative job. British Council, even the money wasn't good. The image alone, the goodwill alone was enough for you to say you work in a very good place. But he's been able to transition it. The mistakes he's made, he's told us. The good things he's done, he told us. If you want to quit your job, start saving aggressively. 50%. And come say, sir, you need more. 50%,
Yeah.
minimum 3 years. Put it aside and keep it. Another thing that you said that touched me so much is the ethics about quitting. 1, don't use your employer's time. Number 2, don't use your employer's resources. And number 3, make sure that you don't compete with the employer. This is extremely important. And when you were saying what, I was smiling, I was happy in my heart because what I decided to do some years ago, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, what I decided to do was that I was going to work 2 hours in my part-time business, HiPAG Service, every week. So by 6:30 a.m., I would be in my office right here in Asqua. I work from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30. I leave to go straight to school, go and do all the teaching stuff, all the meeting stuff, all the things that we do in school. By 4:30, I close. I drive back again. By 5 p.m., I'll be right here in our square. I work like to like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I go back home. But I noticed that the excitement in staying early, coming in early and working late in my side business was getting more. So for the past 5 years or so, I think I do minimum about 4 years, including weekends are not included. So 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning, and then 5:30, no, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. every single day, including today. My dear friends, if you work it, it works. We are not there
Yeah.
yet, but I thank God I found this opportunity. I thank God that at least it's giving me the leverage to understand that if you understand how something works, if you understand the process, like Albert has told us, it works. There's so much I could share, Albert, but I'm so happy today because you have taken some bit of my imposter syndrome, some bit of thing that I thought I was doing right. I felt, oh, I do cry. I'm saying, you, am I doing the right thing? Today, this show is for me, Albert. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Albert, can you tell us how much you pay yourselves, or what did you use to determine how much you pay yourself in the business? Or you don't pay yourself at all, but you take end of year bonus. Hey, okay. Now,
So
please stay in Malawi. Don't come back to Ghana. We beg you.
the
Thank
answer
you.
to that question changed at different times of the business.
Yeah.
At the start, the business couldn't afford to pay me. Okay. But this is where, for me, if you have a co-founder who understands accounting, that's why I said that whilst you are in the business, you need to learn these things whilst you are employed. What you do is you ask yourself that how much would you have paid someone to do this work? Imagine this. Imagine that I run a consulting firm and I hire Dr. TK, and Dr. TK tells me that each month to do the consulting for us, he wants a salary of 1,000 cedis, right? That's what Dr. TK said he will take. And I don't employ him, and I do that. That means technically I should get 1,000.
Mm,
That's what it means, right?
mm,
But the business can also give me the 1,000. In accounting, what you do is you record this as the business owes Albert 1,000. It's the same way like if I'd employed Dr. TK and at the end of the month we don't have money, I'll tell Doc, one him said this month we didn't get money. So let's put it down as we owe you 1,000. Next month, if he still works and we don't have money, he understands that we now owe him 2,000. So in accounting wise, in the very beginning of our business, while the business could not pay us, we recorded our salary as owings to the business. So the business owes us. So at the time that the business started now making money, we started paying those salaries gradually. So in our fifth year, by the fifth year, everybody, me, Gideon, Ben, and everybody in the business knew how much the business owed them in salary.
mm,
We couldn't, of course, pay all at a go. So in some months, you're able to pay your full salary plus maybe 10% of what we owe you. In some months, you pay your full salary plus 20% of what we owe you. And this is where cash flow management is also important, that you learn cash flow management. The fact that we have money doesn't mean we should just use to pay all the salaries that we owe, right? So we gradually took time to pay off all those salary arrears. It took time. And after that, now you know you don't have salary arrears. And then you can now afford to pay yourself. But even when you say paying yourself, my salary was half what I was collecting at British Council as my
mm.
initial salary. And that was, let's say, by the fifth year of running the business. Now, and I'll be very honest with you, I know the person who is at my position, who took over my position at British Council when I left. Of course, he's gone up in terms of promotion now over the last couple of years. I still know who is where I should have been. And my salary now, I won't lie, it's double what that person earns.
Mm, mm.
Yeah, but it took almost 13 years. So
Guy,
yeah,
wow. It took how many years, Albert?
13 years.
13 years. I don't want to say it louder. Oh, I beg to discourage anybody from joining this system. All right,
But
ladies
you
and
see,
gentlemen. Yeah,
I don't know if anybody knows. If you don't know, go and look at the Fibonacci sequence.
yeah.
Okay. I think that's the best thing I can explain to you how the salary structure of an entrepreneur looks like. It's really at the beginning, it's really, really low, but or what they call a snowball effect.
Yeah.
It starts low and it snowballs. So I think that after your 10th year, you will see that your salary really, really now goes really high compared to anything else. So that's why it really is worth it, because for I'll say for the first 10 years, I was not earning what I was earning 10 years ago at British Council.
Mm.
It took 10 years to earn exactly what I was earning 10 years ago. So you can see how long that was. But it took 5 years to now quadruple or 10 times what I was earning there now. Yes. So yes, that's how it looks like.
Oh, this is mouthful. Ladies and gentlemen, let's please show some appreciation to Albert. Albert has poured his heart out tonight for all of us, including me. I've learned so much. I'm convinced and I'm very confident in some thoughts that I thought I didn't know. I'm so happy that we did this show tonight. And please let us go and get his book. Albert, can we please drop the link of the website in the chat box? And please, let's get Albert's book. It is something that we'll need to go and read. This is just an hour show. He's been able to give us a lot of details as to what we can do. But I think that we'll do him a very, very, very big favor and saying thank you to him by just going to grab a copy of his book. The website is www.albertopoku.com/books. Please go get it. Please go get it. That's a little appreciation we can show to Albert. And not just the appreciation we are showing to him, but most importantly, building your capacity before you quit. I have a friend who is seriously now not even living in his own house because he has become a fugitive. He jumped out of the bank just like that and then picked some of his customers, the customers he was working for as a relationship banker, picked some of their money to do some stuff. The thing collapsed big time. He owes close to 2 million Ghana cedis. The guys are looking for him. He can't pay the money. They sold his car. He was using a Mercedes-Benz. The car is sold. We have to change the kids' school from a different school to a different school because we could not afford to pay the same school fees the kids were in right now. That is the danger we put ourselves in if we don't plan it well. And tonight is being a savior for you, my dear friends. It's been a savior. I have planned to quit anyway, and some of the things I bet have shown me, I'm doing some of them, but there are some more I have to be aggressively be doing now in the next couple of years to do what I really want to do. Because if you find what you love to do, and if you see the impact you make with it, and you can see how many people's life have been touched by the things you do, building that confidence to jump out there and doing it bigger time is the way forward. And that could be our calling. That could be the reason why we are here on earth to help other people. Albert, I can't say it much. Thank you very much, brother, for making time to join us. And we'll talk after this. So till we meet again next week, Thursday, please go and apply the few things you have done. Please click on the link from Albert. Go buy his book immediately and buy mine right now. Please get it now for us all to help Albert spread this message of saving people's life and saving families.